Okay, so now we're going to learn about using the loop and the interrupt block. Okay, so the loop block is great for making things happen more than one time in a row. And you can have a long string of programming, and you can, what might take you a lot of programming you can do using the loop block as long as it's repetitive. So I'm going to I drag the loop block out, you can see, and I'm going to go ahead and drag this in here. Now this is a simple forward and back program. For one rotation it'll go forward, one rotation it will go backwards. And right now I have it so it happens for unlimited amounts of time. So if I go ahead and play this now, then it'll just keep going backwards and forwards forever and ever and ever. Now I can stop it either by pressing the back button, or I can just press the stop button right there, and it will stop on the screen. So right now it's happening forever and ever. Now I can make it so that I can use the color sensor or I can use the touch sensor to stop the loop, and that does work. For example, if I go ahead and I select color, blue, I can use my handy dandy blue colored fin here to stop the loop. And so let's check that out. You'll see that it's not working when it comes forward. Look, it's going over the blue. And why is that? Well, let's see. What if I put it back here? Look, it stopped when it went backwards. And that's because whatever you put here to stop the loop, using whatever sensor, it has to go through the whole program before it'll use that to stop the program running. So that's where the interrupt block comes in. Now there is other things before we go to the interrupt block you can do. You can get it to loop for an amount of times, like you could get it to do 2 times. And there you see it looped 2 times, and it went through the programming twice, and then it stopped the loop there. And so you can do that. But if you want it to be responsive to some sort of sensor, and you can do that with different sensors too, you're going to want to use an interrupt block, especially if you want it to stop as soon as it detects something different. Go on forever, but then when it detects something different. So I'm going to pull out the interrupt block, and I'm going to use the wait block like we do when we want to use a sensor to interrupt actions or to cause a new action. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to multitask it up by dragging something down. Now, what you see on the top here is the number 1. Now, I can rename this, and if you have multiple loops, you're going to want to also rename them so you don't get them mixed up. But I can go ahead and call this forward, backward. And then that's what that loop will be called for its title. Now you see number 1 here, but if I click on here, you're going to see forward, backward too. So if I go ahead and I want to use the color sensor, for example, here, and I select blue, then it's not going to work because my loop is not called number 1, it's called forward backward. So if I go here to the interrupt block and I select forward backward, then you'll see that I have the right one selected. So now at any time it detects the color blue forwards or backwards, no matter where it is in the program, the loop, it should stop. Oh, that was weird. It went over that wire. That was not blue. And you can see it stopped there because even on the forward motion, because I use the interrupt block to do that. So very handy for when you have something looping and then you want it to detect something and then make a change after that. And then of course I would go ahead after that loop was done and I would start to connect my next function to here. So if I was to put that after that, then I'll have the loop going forever. Then when it hits blue, it'll go forward 1 and then stop. And there I continue my programming from there. And that's how you can use the loop block and the interrupt block together to do some pretty cool stuff.